So I think for, you know, I don't think anybody ever expects to be, I don't want to say doxxed, because that's such a dirty word to young people, but just sort of, you know, held accountable for their shitty behavior. So this is Matt Evans, and he contacted for the OEM Rockford T1 and T2 dust caps. And he's like, hey, how many do you have? I said, oh, just to let you know, I said, these are just the dust caps, not complete subwoofer, though I can build some original looking 10s, because I still have a pair of those cones for the T1s. So if anybody's interested, let me know. And he says, yeah, I meant how many of the dust caps do you have? Or is someone producing them so you can get endless amounts? And I said, no, this is a very limited in tooling. It's quite expensive, and these will never be put back into production. Next to nothing. That never happened. I said I have about 100 each, and then I even had to finance them when I bought them like 10 years ago. And he says, so how did you get these and from where? And I was like, it was a little rude, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I said, it's from the factory of Nogales. So by way of auction from a guy that I know that lives down there in Tucson. And but I didn't get into that. And he says, is all the models you have for the T1 and T2 just 10-inch? And I was like, yeah, because I sold the other ones. I think we had some 12s, but I remember selling them on eBay and some other places. He says, you want to make a package deal? And I said, sure, make an offer. And then he counters and says, count up how many you have of each and throw me a number I can't refuse. Okay, so when I ask somebody, hey, make an offer, that's not what I mean. I said, that's okay, I'll just sell them for $25 each on eBay. Because obviously he's contacting me to be a reseller. But what's weird is he gets into this thing where like, he has these expectations because he's a customer. Like he thinks because he's buying something, like he's special, which is, again, super weird. Like I can understand that in a retail setting. Like I still don't agree with it, but I can understand it. But this is not retail, and I said, well, I've been selling them pretty quick at $15 each. I said, I just don't like using eBay, but they'll probably sell better there. I just have to check up the price to pay for, you know, the hassle of using eBay and also for the fees. And he says, no. He says, I'm going to buy them in bulk and use them and sell them for years. He says, I want to have a little wiggle. Well, I think the real retail price on these is going to be $35 each for the T1 and then $40 each with shipping for the T2. So what I'll do is I'll price them at $30 and $35 each and then do a flat $5 shipping for as many as you want on eBay. And this guy kind of helped me recognize the real value to these, because again, he was wanting to come in for the kill. And so anyways, he says, yeah, I get it, but if I'm going to buy them in bulk and sell them and use them for years, I want to have a little wiggle. Plus, sorry, telemarketer. He says he wants to have a little wiggle. Plus, again, this is where he assumes that he's doing me a favor, right? Which is never a good thing to do for someone. But I understand his tactic. I just don't agree with it as far as sales go. And I've been doing sales for quite some time now. But again, that doesn't, you know, that's just me. It's just my way of doing things, but whatever. He says, plus you would be saving like a minimum of $5 each on shipping. So I just thought you may prefer to off them all at once. So again, you know, he's doing me a favor, right, by taking these all at once. And I said, laugh out loud, I said, that's why I asked you to make an offer. Then you balked and put it back on me. That tells me you don't know their value. So what I mean by that is he probably should have made an offer per piece like I did, right? So the guy that I got him off of, I said, what do you want, you know, per, you know, cap or whatever? And he gave me the number, and I just said, I'll take them all. So, and the way what I did that for is a commitment. And also I wanted a monopoly on this particular item. Any item that you can get a monopoly on, fucking go for it. Now, how you exploit it and how much of a dick you are, that's a different story. So I don't mind monopolies, but just, try not to abuse them. But again, if you don't sort of lay down the law, and I've seen this happen with George Campos, which, by the way, he mentions that he calls George Campos, I think, a dick or whatever. And I was like, no, he's not a dick. He's a very stern businessman. And I'm not a businessman. I do things for different reasons than George. But George has been very nice to me and hasn't needed to be. So, but anyways, let's see. I said you could have easily made an offer per unit. I said that offer would be based on the end value that you think they have. So again, I think they actually have an end value for the a retail value of $40 each shipped for the T2 cap, and then like a little bit less, like $35 each for like one, if you just want one cap for the T1, because you're really dealing with collectors, and these are brand new and they're super rare and you can't get them anywhere. And so I said, I think you can even sell them for $30 each, even if you bought them at $15 each. And then I said, do you even have $3,000? And he says, I do, but in no way in the world would I pay $15 each. First off, that price is per unit with shipping. Secondly, even if you sold it on eBay for $25 after fees and shipping, you'd be left with like $13 or $14 each. Again, he assumes that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, which again is never a great way to start negotiations, but that's fine. He says, and that would slow the sales way down once you're charging $25 plus eBay tax for the buyer. So again, he thinks he's doing me a favor. He says, and yes, I have the money. And if you want to make a deal, it seems you just want to argue and try to get me to pay full asking price while buying them all. So again, I'm selling them at a discount already. I already know that. But again, I try to be nice. I try to be friendly. I try to help people. And this is how I get treated. He says, I'm actually very interested, but like I said, I don't want a 5-year project. That's exactly what this is. It's a 5-year, it's a 10-year project. I'm up for 5 years. I'm up for 10 years. And I said, I don't need the money that bad. I'm looking for long-term return on investment. These eventually go in a store. He says, there you go. That's great, man. I thought you were some random dude with an overstock or something and you wanted to sell. I said, well, their value is $30 each. I said, I'm not interested in really selling to end users, especially if they're in bulk. I said, if you're a collector, I don't really want to deal with you. He says, so you would be interested in making a bundle deal at once. And I was like, you know what? I'm sitting here with Sherry going back and forth, and Sherry's getting curious because she's like, typically I try to end a text very quickly because I have lots of them. And so I try to just, hey, text me direct with your name and your shipping address. And then we go through the process of figuring out what you want and then narrowing it down. I said, sure, let's do 3,000. And then I sent him a video of Robot to let him know, this is me, this is what I do. And he goes, count how many you have of each. I said, send me $100 down as a non-refundable deposit for counting. So if this guy's rich and he's means what he says, $100 should be no big deal. And he goes, stop playing games. It's basic math. I'm not paying $3,000. If there's 120 total, but you end up having like 350 or something, I'm willing to pay. So again, if it comes into his favor, that he's willing to do, which I was willing to do as well. So then the maniac sends me a picture of his fucking safe. I assume that's his safe. It could be any safe off of the internet, but like, okay, whatever. Whatever. I don't even want to get into that. I said, laugh out loud, do your research. I said $100 each. If there's more, you get more. And then I told him to put up or shut up. He says, and if there's less, I said, then don't take the deal. That's what's there at $15 each. I said, the $100 applies to the balance. When you send the $100, I will give you a count. I said, that's what you're paying for. Because again, I don't need to go and count all these and then just have the guy insult me with an even lower price, which he does, by the way, later. I guess he wanted them at $10 each, which, whatever. He says, yeah, here we go. He says, I'll buy them at $10 each if you could do that. No matter the amount, just count and I'll pay. Again, he wants me to count first, and I've done that with people where I go through the effort of doing all that and then they don't buy. So I'm like, I need some earnest money. I need something that lets me know that you're serious. And so he says, that's fair for both of us. Again, he's deciding for me what's fair. And I'm like, that's not a good move to do. He says, you save the shipping on each one. Again, he acts like he's doing me a favor. Not a good one. He says, yet there's a couple of dollars left on the bone for me, as if he's getting a, not a great deal on the first time. Again, he should be retailing these for $35 to $40 each. And I said, come on, rich guy, you can afford $100. I go, that's not the deal I proposed. You said you had $3,000. Let's do it. And he says, I've got more than $3,000, clearly. Stop trying to make it a pissing match. Again, I wasn't, but okay. He says, and negotiate a fair deal or don't. So basically, he's telling me to put up or shut up. And I'm like, bye. And that's what I said. I said, laugh out loud, bye. And he goes, you're so immature, it's laughable. And I said, if you say so, you shouldn't do business with me then. Like, don't do business with me. So, and then he goes, you're the one showing that way, which is, I'm not sure why you would do that as a business. Again, he assumes I'm a business. He says, don't you want to make connections and move product at the same time? Which sounds like a sales seminar that he attended, which, whatever, everybody learns at their own pace. I'm like, whatever. So I said, what makes you think I'm a business? I said, I sent you a video about us. I guess you didn't watch it. I guess you didn't do your research. He says, are you part of Robot Underground? And I said, I was wrong about the market price. I said, the T2 caps will go for $40 each on eBay, and the T1 caps will go $35 each. And I said, I'm a co-founder of Robot Underground. He says, then yes, that's a business. It's not, but that's fine. He says, and secondly, listen to the first 45 seconds of that video. You've been treating me the exact opposite way, which if you listen to the first 45 seconds, I do my best to treat everyone equal. Again, his interpretation of that video, whatever. He says, nothing like the good old boy mentality. I wasn't doing that, but again, I was just wanting him to put up or shut up. I said, that's where you're wrong. I said, but you interpret it, blah, blah, blah. He says, you've been nothing but sarcastic. And I said, I asked you to send a $100 deposit. You didn't. He goes, and yes, I did. And I said, no, you didn't. You put it back on me and you told me to make an offer that you couldn't refuse. I said, you also told me to count them up. And I said, I'm not counting for anybody without a deposit. He says, we both know, again, he's assuming, don't do that. Don't assume for the other person. He says, we both know it makes no sense for you to ship 200 of these separately, which I wouldn't. I would ship them all together. And why would I pay $5 for shipping? Again, I don't pay $5 for shipping, but that's fine. I said, also, what kind of maniac sends a picture of money in a safe? I said, see, you act like you're doing me a favor. And he says, when could you sell them to me for a bit of a bundle and be done with it? I said, you don't know my shipping situation. I have thousands upon thousands of dust caps to sell. And really, I want to use these to put in the warehouse over in Texas. So they're a good draw, to get people to the website and then start looking for other stuff. So because as soon as I mentioned that deal over at Lord of Bass, guess what? All those old dust caps went like that. They vanished. Still have to pay them to do so. I said I have resellers all over the world. You will not be one of them. Basically, I'm telling him to fuck off. And he goes, well, then die with them. I could care less. And I said, then why do you keep texting me? And he's like, you're a terrible businessman. I said, again, nobody said I was a businessman. He goes, because sometimes I think, maybe this jackass will come to his senses and stop trying to stroke his big ego. Again, I wasn't. I was just trying to treat everybody the same, which is to have, I deal with a lot of people. And so if you don't do what I say, if you don't follow simple instructions, that tells me you're an idiot or you're not going to listen or whatever. And this guy was, all of those things. Basically, and then it starts going back and forth, and then he starts talking about, I said, you should probably watch those videos, little buddy. And that, of course, is, degrading. But of course, he says, you haven't proven anything except the way you treat customers. Again, he thinks of himself as a customer. And in business circles, you never want to go in like that. Never. You want to go in as equals. And even if somebody is bigger than you and they kind of dominate you, let them. You never know. Again, I've done this thousands of times where I go into Diamond Audio or Rockford Fosgate or some owner of an electronics warehouse that disposes of all of the electronics for Rockford Fosgate. I go in there very humble, and I'm like, how can I help you? How can I help solve your problems? What are your problems that I can help solve? That's the way I go in. This guy did not do that. So he goes, basically, I end up saying, I'm sorry, you're dumb, which is one of my favorite disrespects. And he's like, I'm sorry, you're a prick. And I said, keep going. The wife and I are getting a kick of how mad you are. He says, I'm sorry for your wife. That was over the line. But again, he says, I'm not mad, by the way. And I said, again, why do you keep texting me? He says, but damn, the condescending character must get old because I have nothing better to do. And he tried to be reasonable. Again, he didn't, but whatever. I said, you couldn't handle that, so where you're at. And I said, you seem to be a businessman. Is that correct? So then I want to show him, and he says that he does plenty of good business, right? As if I do bad businesses. I was like, okay. I said, send me links of your work. I'll promote it on my channel or on the channel. And then immediately he crawls back in because he's a coward. And he says, I have nothing to prove and shut the fuck up. No, you wouldn't. Yes, I would. And I'm doing that right now. He's like, you're still trying to flex. Yeah, so what? So what? I can flex. It's not a big deal. I do my best to support small businesses of people that do good. And if the people do bad, that's important to expose as well. So he's a car audio enthusiast. Let's see. He's got a 4.5 and 345 followers. There's his seller ratings. Good job. Matt Strengths, blah, blah, blah. And then we go to view profile. There's the URL. I am assuming that's Maddie Cakes. Cute girl though. Look at that. So he's kind of a hippie, but whatever. With the Christmas sweater. Let's see what else we got. And then he's a former student at Raccoon Grade School. Okay, so he lists his grade school on here. Again, he's probably a young person. He was on Facebook a long time ago. He says he went to Salem High School, lives in Salem, Illinois. He's from Salem. He joined in August of 2010. And then his latest post is about Nathan Helm getting his exhaust fixed up super strong with not much metal to work. And then, I mean, I've seen better welds, but whatever. So, and then you guys can go check out his page and, there you go. So, zany drinking, making lots of money, hanging out with his hot girlfriend. Good job. Pretty girl. Blah, blah, blah. So, and that's one of the reasons why I put what I put. Again, all these pages that we have are personal, and it says a lot about us as human beings of what we choose to show the world. And you judge me. I would love to. There you go. Slap-a-roo. I like that picture. That's a funny picture. But yeah, judge me. I don't care. I put it out there. I put the fucking address of the casa out there for you. I don't care. But I don't act like this when I go and try to talk to somebody about a deal or business or anything like that. That's rude. Don't do that. And also don't be just a piece of shit, cocky motherfucker. Not that he did that, but again, I think he came in for the kill and he got a little disappointed that I walked away. And a lot of macho guys really don't like that when I turn them down. When I turn their money down, that especially gets them. And again, I'm just trying to have some principles and not, look, I don't mind people fucking me in the butthole, right? I was in the military. My butthole's nice and big now. What I don't like is when people don't ask to fuck my butthole. That's what I don't like. So, but fucking the butthole, go for it. It's not a big deal. The conversation ends up degrading down to like name calling. He says, I bet the real reason you won't count them is because you can't count that high. So he gets into the whatever. And I said, well, I have receipts, buddy, meaning I have URLs, I have Instagram pages of my work, I have the YouTube, I can show some stuff. And then he says, dildos. You have dildos. I have a pocket pussy. Thank you very much. I don't put anything in my butthole. He says he has nothing to prove, nothing literally, and never will. And I said, you're right, but don't you want free promotion? You're a businessman. I said, there's no such thing as bad press. I really believe that. It's about being able to turn lemons into lemonade. So he says, I don't pay for ad revenue. Either do I. I said, I have 20 years of organic SEO. He says something is incorrect. Oh, he says, there's no such thing as bad press. He goes, that's a saying. He said, Brett, bad press can put someone under in the wrong circumstance. Well, it depends on what you say, and it also depends on what your point of view is from. So if somebody wants to try to put me under, go for it. I would love to see someone cancel me. I said, if you say so, disagree. And then that's where I pull them aside and basically say, I highly recommend that you lower those expectations and be nicer. I said, you're the one that didn't follow instructions and didn't take me up on the offers that I made. I said, I think you're just inexperienced, and that's why you've been playing. That's why I've been playing with you, but that's fine. I said, I think it's important that young people learn. I said, shit, I think it's good that old people learn. I said, if you think you got something to teach me, let me know. I said, but I think most of your opinions are wrong, and you're making assumptions that are wrong. And so that ends up making you wrong. I said, but you're allowed to have an opinion. I said, I've helped tens of thousands of people around the world solve problems. I said, I don't think you've done that. And if that makes me arrogant, fucking go for it. Prove me wrong. I don't really care. I said, and it shows because you don't know how to negotiate and you don't know how to take things at face value. I said, you got ham hands, you're clumsy. And I said, if you got a sensitive ego, but please continue to insult me and my wife while you're at it. I said, that just tells me what kind of person you are, just like the way you negotiated here. Which again, and I say that so that you guys, if you ever get in a situation like this, don't take it personal. This guy is just, he's upset. Let people be upset. You don't have to control people's emotions. Let him express himself. Then we rehash. He says, I never insulted your wife. I said, you feel sorry for her? He says, I do feel bad for her having to deal with me again, as if I'm this horrible person. I basically let him know that it sounds like a child throwing a fit. I said, that's fine. And basically it's fuck you. But we didn't say fuck you, but I brought up Sabino that I did the video the day before or that day yesterday. I bring it up that he keeps texting me, and then he says, you really like this. And I actually do. I actually do like it when people fight with me on the internet. I get a little thrill out of it. I think it's exciting and funny to see people get so squirrely over words on a page. He says, you started, then can't take it. He says, I'm cucking you. Because I told him I was goading him. And he says, I can tell you like this shit. And I said, yeah, it's quite fun. And he says, you're a good boy. And I said, of course, the only thing I could say, which is thanks, Daddy. And he says, you're welcome. So, but that's Matt Evans. And if you guys want to go do business with him, go do business with him. I don't care. That's your business. But he is certainly on the poo-poo list for me. And he's a good example of just, he said something about you old people work too hard. I said, well, yeah. I said, I have a soul and I have a conscience and I can sleep at night. But if money is your focus, there's plenty of money to go be had. Go, whatever. Is that what this is? An advertisement for Allstate? Maybe he's an insurance salesman. I don't know. That would be great to be a young insurance salesman and have a good route or, a good client base already. So, but other than that, whatever. I don't need to flag his account or anything like that. I think just stating your grade school is enough punishment for Maddie Cakes. But I would definitely jizz on her face. That's just my opinion, but whatever. Anyways, I love you guys. Watch out for buttholes, and again, do your best to be as nice as you can until it's time to not be nice. So, and it's not time to be nice to Matt. Oh, one last thing. If you, whatever, if you don't like this video, that's fine. Say you don't like this video. You don't have to watch it. But I'm getting ready to do some woofer porn. And if that's what you like, good for you. But give a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that shit. This is just stuff that I think is important. I wish somebody else had done when I was young. But things were different when I was younger. So I'm trying to set the example. Thanks.